Huh. That was almost nothing like the book. But I still liked it. No, yeah, so if anyone saw my book review of American Born Chinese, you know I absolutely love this book. And so I was very excited to see the show. And the show does embody elements of the book. It embodies themes of the book. It still has the characters from the book. But it changes a lot, and it adds in a whole lot. It's very different. Like, one of the big overall themes of this book is not in the show. But there is another big overall theme added into the show. And honestly, I like both of them. I like the show and I like the book. Now, a lot of people have commented to me on my book review saying they like the show better. Me personally, I like the book better. I think the book is a more charming, more cute, more simple, more funny story that has a better message in some ways. But you know what? You shouldn't only ask me, because both this and the show are very much stories about what it's like to be a Chinese American person, and a story about race. And obviously I'm not a Chinese American person, so while I can obviously have opinions, like general opinions about all this, and myth fan opinions about all this, I think it's also, you know, very valid to see what, you know, actual Chinese Americans would think of this. But, you know, I'll just give you my thoughts. Now, the show has, I don't think this is a spoiler, it's literally in, like, the description of the show and on the damn poster. The show focuses a lot more on the Chinese mythology aspect. The book had some of that, but it was a lot smaller and a lot more subtle. But the show has, like, the big overall narrative is the mythology. Whereas in the book, the big overall narrative was just growing up as a Chinese American. The show, like, yeah, the main focus is the mythological stuff, and the Chinese American stuff is still very important in the show, but it doesn't feel as important as the big mythological stuff. Whereas, as I said, in the book, the mythology stuff was there to support just the Chinese American story. So, in the show, like, you know, Sun Wukong, like, there's an uprising by his old enemy. To anyone who knows the, you know, Sun Wukong story, the Bull Demon is Sun Wukong's enemy, and he's creating an uprising to fight against the Jade Emperor. And Sun Wukong's son has taken his staff in order to go search for the like celestial scroll of power, which I guess he's planning to use against the Bull Demon. However, there are some issues with how the story goes mythologically in this, and I don't know if I should talk about this here or in spoilers, but you know, I don't think I'm giving away too much when I just say it feels like with certain stuff that happens in this show, they don't actually need the scroll to defeat the Bull Demon. They would just be able to do it if, you know, Sun Wukong just had his staff. But I'll get into that more in spoilers. As a mythology fan, it's really fun for me to see a lot more usage of Sun Wukong and see other gods. Zubaji shows up, Sha Wuqing shows up, Guan Yin shows up, Jigong shows up. It's really cool to see all of them, and I was very happy about it. Ao Guang shows up. Of course, Ao Guang is done very differently. But yeah, that's one of the huge things that's going on in this story. But they still have Jin's story. Jin, the character from the original book, you know, is still at the same time growing up as, you know, an American born from Chinese immigrants. And his story, he was good. Honestly, I liked him in the show, just kind of like how I liked him in the book. Again, I was rooting for him. I wanted him to succeed. I wanted him to be okay. I wanted him to be accepted, and I wanted him to make friends. And, you know, just like, also kind of like in the book, he has his selfish side. He has his side that's like, when another, you know, Asian kid is brought before him, it's like, hey, hang out with this Asian kid to help him fit in. He doesn't want to. He's like, I don't want to. That shouldn't be my problem. But then they bond over a Transformer toy, just like in the book. And so I liked seeing little nods like that. So there is stuff from the book in the show. I'm very upset to say, though, that there is no Qing Qi in the show. Qing Qi, the absolute best character from the book. Qing Qi, who, let me see if I can find, where's his introduction? Yeah, here we go. Where's Chinky? God damn it. He's not in the show. No, they did something different with how Chinky is in the show. So in the book, Chinky is a cousin who constantly embarrasses like one of the main characters named Danny. Now in the show, they've kind of merged Wei with Chinky. Like they made them like what's Wei's last name? Is it Wei Chan? I don't remember. I'm sorry. But I think it's Wei Chan. But yeah, they merged Wei Chan and Chinky together a little. Like they didn't make Wei an over-the-top stereotype, but they gave him some of the moments where he embarrasses Jin, similar to how Chinky embarrasses Dani. And another thing they did with Chinky in this show is in this book, when Chinky would show up, he was an over-the-top offensive character intentionally. Like he was supposed to be a parody of like all the negative aspects people think about, Chinese people. When he would show up, it would have a vibe as if it was like a sitcom or something. Even at the bottoms of pages, you would see like laugh tracks and stuff. So what they do in the show is instead they have a sitcom within the show called Beyond Repair, where there's a guy named Danny is one of the main characters, so it's obviously a reference to the Chinky thing. And instead of Chinky, they have a character named Freddy, played by... what's his name? Crap. Oh, I forgot his name. Oh, I feel so bad. Oh no, he's an actor I really like. What's his name? Oh crap, I'm ashamed. I'm very ashamed. I'm so ashamed of myself. No, what was his name? Crap. All right, just give me a second here. I'm looking it up. Crap. It's an actor I really like. Yeah, Ke Huy Quan. That's it. Ke Huy Quan plays Freddy, but he's not like a super over the top stereotype like Chinky is. They make him like a stupid Asian character in the show, like who literally goes like, "What could go wrong?" And then bad things happen. And so at first I was like, oh well, I would have liked. It sucks to me that like Ke Huy Quan is playing that character, because I saw Ke Huy Quan in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I saw an interview with him and Brendan Fraser where he was talking about how he wasn't acting for a long time because he didn't get to like play any big main roles. He kept getting offered stereotypical roles and he didn't want to play those. But now he's come back to the world of acting because he's hopeful that now it's more accepting of, people like him. And so when I saw him in this show, I was like, man, I really wish he had a bigger role. I wish he was one of the gods, because I had seen that interview. But then later in the show, it's revealed that they actually cast him as that smaller role in order to get his message across. That same message he had in that Brendan Fraser interview, he talks about in this show. And so I realized, it was so you could get that message out to a wider audience, and I was all for that. Like when I saw him start talking about that in this show, he started talking about like the experiences as an actor, only getting offered like stereotypical roles that he didn't want to do and not getting to play the hero. I was like, oh, you're bringing this now to a big wide demographic so people can hear his story. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm all for that. I really like that. Because I really like this actor, and I'm really glad he's come back to Hollywood, and I'm really glad things are going well for him. And I really would like to see, more of him in the future. So if you count that as its own story, and then you have the mythology story and the Jin story, this show technically has 3 stories going on at once, just like the book does. The one difference is, like in the book, all 3 stories come together in a perfect narrative way. Whereas in this show, I wouldn't say they come together quite like that. Like, the Beyond Repair story doesn't really affect the other 2 stories all that much, but I'm glad it's there, because I liked what they did with it, and I liked how they used it. I'm sad I will never see Chinky on the big screen. But of course I'm not going to see him. Disney would never do that. But yeah, A couple of characters I really liked. I liked Jin's parents. They felt like real people. I understood both of their sides. And honestly, Jin's mom, how she kept pushing like her husband to be better and wanting him to achieve his full potential, it reminded me of Wilda a lot. So, that was nice to see. I wish Wilda had been able to watch the show with me, but she was busy with other stuff. So, sorry guys, I don't have my friend, the Asian representation here for this one. She's Filipino anyway. It's not Chinese. It wouldn't have been the same thing. But either way, one episode that I thought was really cool is they have an episode actually which is all about Sun Wukong and the Bull Demon. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the style they did it in was an intentional nod to old Chinese cinema. It seemed like it was. I've seen some of that old Chinese cinema, and it felt very familiar. So, and it actually got me really invested in the Bull Demon. Like, I was like, oh, now I feel bad for the guy. And as someone who grew up very shy and with a lot of stage fright, I actually related to his character quite a bit. So again, the show manages to be relatable. Like, even me, not a Chinese person, am able to relate to these characters. I think that's a very good sign. And I liked seeing, I liked that we got to see, like, the gods fight, the gods do cool, fun stuff. It was just a fun show. They did end on a cliffhanger, though. They are very much trying to have more seasons, and I have no idea where it's going to go now because, like I said, very different story than the book. I do prefer the book, but I like the show. The book had a main theme at the end about not being ashamed of your culture, not hating your heritage, and not wanting to be something you aren't. I don't think the show had that. I don't think the show was about not being ashamed of your culture or hating your culture. I think the show was mainly just about the struggle of, being a Chinese American growing up in, difficult times and stuff like that. And it's still a good message to have. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I also really liked the message in the book. So I'm always going to be a little bummed that we're not going to get a full adaptation of the book, but the book exists. The book's great for what it is, and the show, while different, still gets a lot of the same points across and is still highly enjoyable in my opinion. So yeah, I can recommend it. If you have a Disney Plus account, I'd say go check it out, especially if you're a big mythology fan like me. It's going to be a lot more it's going to be a lot more teenager slice of life stuff, but there is the mythology stuff in there too. So that's about, I think, all I have to say without spoilers. So now I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, so like I was saying, I think, first of all, Guan Yin beats the Bull Demon in a fight. And it's really weird because they say early in the show, oh, we don't stand a chance against the Bull Demon without the staff. And it's like, but you just beat him without the staff. And he literally says, you win, but I won't be so easy to beat when I get the staff. And it's like, if Monkey King had his staff, he could wipe the floor with the Bull Demon. They don't even use the fourth scroll against him, ever, now that I think about it. They beat him completely without it. They only use the fourth scroll to stop what he tries to do with the staff. So if he never had the staff, he would never have been a problem. So honestly, this is a problem with the show. The entire premise of the show was not needed. Am I wrong here? Did I miss something there? It really seems like it was not needed. So that's a legitimate, serious problem with the plot. Even though I enjoyed the show, it's like, guys, come on. You should have showed the Bull Demon, defeating Guan Yin and stuff like that. You should have shown the fourth scroll being needed to defeat the Bull Demon, but that never, ever happened. Jin was the fourth scroll. I saw it coming very quickly. As soon as they revealed, the parents were like, oh yes, our families were in conflict, but then we got together and we had this pendant made. I was like, it's not the pendant, it's Jin. Jin is something that was created from your coming together. So he's the fourth scroll. I knew that was going to happen. And honestly, though, it's something I don't really like when it's revealed. I don't like the Chosen One story. I'm sick and tired of the Chosen One story. And it also, what's a problem with it too, as opposed to the book, is in the book, Jin also befriends the Monkey King's son, but he doesn't know he's the Monkey King's son, and the Monkey King's son doesn't befriend him because he's on a quest. The Monkey King's son is like just on a pilgrimage, basically. He's going to Earth and seeing what Earth is like. And these two, they just meet naturally, and they just become friends naturally. And there's a really nice scene in this book where the Monkey King's son talks about his friendship with Jin and how Jin helps him and is patient with him and cares about him. It's like, wow, what a real, genuine friendship, and I'm really invested in it now. In the show, though, he goes down to Earth and immediately tries to befriend Jin because he had a dream that Jin will be his guide, and so he has to befriend him. Guan Yin even tells him, okay, you have to befriend this boy. It's like, I don't like that because now the friendship doesn't feel genuine to me. I didn't really feel the authenticity of their friendship as much as I wish I had. I felt it a little. Like, I felt it like in that toilet paper scene. That was a fun scene. But, you know, I felt it a lot more here. It's one of the main reasons I like the book better. And then one other weird scene was, like, there's a scene where Jin's parents have an argument at a karaoke bar, and they go off to the side, and they just argue with each other, but they don't yell, they don't scream. And then in a later scene, they go back to the bar, and the manager there goes, yeah, I remember you guys. You were screaming at each other like drunken idiots. It's like, no, they weren't. What? That was a really weird scene. But those are my only pet peeves with this show. I like the rest of it. I really liked the whole message about, I forgot his name again. I am a horrible person. Ki Hui Kwan's story. I'm so sorry. I liked Ki Hui Kwan's story, even though I keep forgetting his name because I suck. I like that Michelle Yeoh was in the show. I love her. She was a very good choice for Guan Yin. I liked, even though at first I thought it was going to be weird, like the story with Sun Wukong as the bull demon's best friend and them in heaven and Sun Wukong not fighting with heaven. It was all just a whole lot of talk. Like, at first I was like, this is kind of lamer than how the actual story goes. But you know what? I did actually feel the break in their friendship, and I did care, like, by the end of it. So I was like, no, you know what? I'm invested. And so I think the show did what it was trying to do. So I liked that. I was really invested in the parents, honestly. I wanted to know what was going to happen, and we don't find out this season. I guess we're going to find out next season. So, man, I really wanted to know. But, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this show, honestly. What do you guys think? Oh, I was happy to see Zubaji, and I saw it coming. I like the way they reveal it, because Zubaji's main weapon is a rake, for anyone who doesn't know, and he was, like, raking up leaves on the skull. I was like, is that Zubaji? And it was. So I'm proud of myself for calling that. Is there a story where Sha Wu-jing is a girl? In the one I read, Sha Wu-jing was a guy. Can someone help me out with that? I don't know why Sha Wu-jing was a woman in this show, but maybe there's just something I don't know. But that's about it. I don't know how to end videos.